Hello and welcome to LexisNexis RegCompliance Plus. My name's Michael Nelson, and I'm the Customer Experience Manager. Today, we're looking at the alerts on the RegCompliance Plus platform. As you can see, we've started at the landing page. To access your alerts, go down to the Explore Compliance area and click on the Alerts tab. Now, the first view that you'll see when you open up your alerts is the Tracker view. This gives you access to all of the alerts that are currently in your system, subject, of course, to a variety of different filters that are available to you on the left-hand side. You can search by a particular term. You can search by active or archived status. You can search for different sorts of alerts, FYI or action required. In this case, there's a third sort of alert called news, which we'll get to in another moment. Search by module, and as you can see, I've already put some filters in, including a filter that looks at the impact rating of regulatory change. Then we can sort by jurisdiction, and a new filter that looks at particular industry sectors that are affected by reg change. All of the filters that we put in place appear here, and you can clear those by clicking on the clear button there. You can also, of course, drop in date ranges. So if you're looking for a particular period of time as relates to reg change, you can drop in that period there. And then on the right-hand side, there's a drop-down that allows you to look at the different sorts of alerts, whether it's type, whether it's impact rating, effective date, or publication date. There's another filter that allows you to sort those alerts that's available to you here with the editable fields that are now available in the alert solution. You can nominate a given owner, and you can also nominate a risk level as well. Now, the Tracker view allows you to readily access all of the alerts, subject to the filters that you've put in, that have been sent to your subscription, so as they relate to the modules that you've subscribed to. It gives you ready access to the different sorts of alerts, and of course the default is the most recent. So you can see with these filters in here, the most recent was sent out on November of last year, and then we can sort within that to look at different sorts of alerts. Now I'm going to have a look at an alert here that was sent out on the 28th of November. On the right-hand side, you can see which module it relates to, whether it's active or archived, when it was published, the kind of alert it is, the jurisdiction, and the alert ID. In this particular case, it's an action required alert, which means that the particular piece of regulatory change that we're looking at has taken effect. We'll look at FYI alerts, monthly alert summaries in a moment. Now, the first thing you'll see on the left is a way of navigating up and down the various fields in the alert, from the top to the impact rating to related obligations and so on. So there's a slider bar here that will allow you to quickly go through the various fields. Then you'll see the alphanumeric code of the alert and the name of the regulatory change piece. Now, the alphanumeric code is assigned when we first identify a piece of regulatory change. So in this case, CHS means it's a child safety related alert. 140 tells us it's the 140th piece of regulatory change we've seen in this space since we developed this and published this module. Now, what that means for users is that when we first identify a regulatory change, we will flag it as an FYI alert, assign it an alphanumeric code, and send that to you. Then over the course of that regulatory change piece's narrative arc, at each significant milestone, prior to it taking effect, we'll send you another FYI alert, but with the same alphanumeric code. Then when it does take effect, it will change from FYI to action required alert, but it will keep the same alphanumeric code all the way through. So you can track that narrative arc just by looking at the code. The next thing, as I touched on it before, is the impact rating. Now, this is a way of determining the significance of the effect of the regulatory change on your organization. So in this particular case, it's got a moderate impact as it requires organizations to review and potentially update confidentiality policies and procedures. So there'll always be some scope within each of the three different ratings: significant, moderate, and minor. But it'll allow you to, at least first instance, broadly sort the alerts into relevant categories. The next field looks at the associated obligations with this particular alert. And it will always have the core obligation and the related sub-obligations that are associated with the particular piece of reg change. So you can go in to the relevant obligations and see how it may affect you. The next field is the effective date, letting you know when you need to start having these changes in place. We'll give you a quick summary of what the changes are. It will give you a link to, in this case, both the amending regs and the actual regs themselves, and we'll tell you which regs have been affected. And then finally, at the bottom of every FYI alert and action required alert, there's always a call to action that says, having read all of the above, this is what you will now need to do in order to respond. So we provide you with not just a sense of what's happening, we give you a sense of what it's happening to, what the effect is, and how you need to respond. Now, let's go back to have a look at the other ways that we can view our alerts. The second way to see them is through the library. Now, what the library does is give you elements of a graphic view that shows you all of the alerts that have been caught under the filters that you've got in place, breaks them down between action required, FYI, and news alerts. And you can then click on that and it will filter out below that all of the alerts within that initial tranche, but just with the FYI ones. And then as you can see, you can link to those particular alerts, have a look at a quick summary of those, look at the impact ratings, the type, and whether it's active or archived. Once again, you can use the drop-down on the right to change the way those are displayed, and you can add that additional filter in around to see which alerts might have been owned by a particular individual or which have been assigned a particular risk level. You can also add additional filters on the left-hand side as well to narrow the scope or expand the scope as you need. The third sort of view is the dashboard view. Now, again, it retains the elite filters that we've already put in place, and you can add or remove ones as needs be. This will give you a sense of all of the alerts that are currently in play. It will allow you to look at particular alert types. It'll give you a sense of which ones within the scope are significant, moderate, or minor. And then it'll give you alert snapshots. So if you're looking at these particular alerts, again, you can add owners and risk levels as well, but it'll give you snapshots of all of the alerts that respond to it. And of course, you can access all of the additional alerts that fell within the scope of this at the bottom. I hope that's been useful. Should you have any further questions about the way that alerts function or any other functionality of the platform, please reach out to your relationship manager. Thank you.